Well, welcome to the first build video of the Boss Fink model from Atlantis Models. And the other video, of course, was just a box opening. So this is going to go through step 1 and 2, which is the engine assembly. That's up first. So we have here the engine parts that I'll be using. And here's, obviously, this is step 1. And step 2, we'll add all the chrome pieces. But we'll get to that in a bit. I need to get the main part of the engine built. And that's basically all of these parts right here is what I'll be using. And I'll be using the Tamiya liquid cement for these particular steps. First thing we do is we get the parts off the tree. And I use some snips. These are Craftsman snips that happen to be on sale at Lowe's one day, so I picked them up at a good price. Always try to keep your eyes open for a good sale on stuff. And remember, think outside the box when you're looking at little tools and that sort of thing. Because I found some good tools at some strange places, like the beauty supply store that the better half gets her shampoos and stuff from. I'm going to set the parts tree off to the side. Then we break out the X-Acto knife. We're going to trim up some of these where they came off the tree. And to check to make sure that any sort of flash is cleared up. Flash comes from the mold process where the molds get a little old and the liquid plastic will seep through. And it just adds little tiny kind of flaky pieces that are usually pretty easy to get off. Sometimes on some of the older models, though, the flash can get quite thick due to the fact that the mold is so old that those little tiny gaps have gotten quite a bit larger. But this is actually pretty nice so far. A little bit of flash right there, nothing bad. Look how easy that comes off. Boom, and it's gone. Another little piece of flash right there and there. Then we're ready to start putting this bad boy together. Okay, so we got to make sure that the oil filter is turned down. And take some of the glue. Run a little bit along that seam. And I'm not worried about the glue seeping a little bit because I'm going to be priming this entire thing. Kind of strange that we've got a engine that comes in so many pieces. But since this is a reissue of a much, much older kit, it's kind of understandable. And while that's setting up a little bit, I'm going to come over here and work on the transmission. And this actually has a couple of pins. I'm going to test fit and make sure that it doesn't need to be trimmed up. And actually it can use a little bit. It seems like there's a little gap in there that's not going to work out all that great. That's what's holding you back right there. Little tiny piece of flash. This is why I test fit. Now that I've got a good fit, I'm going to actually take the glue and run it on the inside and let it fill in the seam that's right there. We'll take the mounting housing. And again, we're going to take the liquid cement and go right along the seam. And this piece will set right along the back part of the engine. And again, the glue goes along the seam. Then we take our front water pump. There's a nice little slit right there for it to go into. Let me take some of the glue and get it onto that. Let that sit into place. And I'll add the valve covers shortly. And in the next video, I'll have this already primed out and we'll pick a color. Since this is kind of a wild model and doesn't really exist in real life, it's kind of open as to what you want to do with it. So I'll be priming this out and we'll pick a color in the next video, and we'll give this a nice little paint job. So stay tuned for that. That's upcoming next. And that'll be another video in the same engine assembly. And I'll paint it, and then we'll add the chrome pieces to it. So I hope you enjoyed this. Part 1, which is steps 1 and 2. So continuing on with the engine assembly, as you can see here, I have primed the engine itself, what used to be purple. I used flat white primer from Krylon. That's it right here. And the reason I use a flat white is it provides a better surface for other paint to grip to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with cadmium yellow from Testers. This is an enamel based paint, and it's also a flat paint. And this will be the first coat that will go on. And this is going to be the base color for additional colors that I'll add on top of this to give it that kind of cartoonish aspect, for lack of a better term. And I kind of put this on liberally. And as you can kind of see, I'm not too concerned with deadly accuracy as far as the paint goes, since this is going to be covered up with another color. That toothpick just flat does not want to hold that on there while I'm putting the paint on. So now I'll put the cap back on the paint, clean the brush, and I always put the lids back on, because you never know when you're going to knock this stuff over and spill stuff all over the place. So I'm going to give that time to dry, and I'll be back in a few minutes to add the next color. So that's upcoming next. And here we have part 2 of the painting of the engine. And I've let the cadmium yellow dry to its flat base color. And now I'm going to add another yellow, and this is a water base yellow that's going to help enhance and brighten up things just a bit. Because again, I'm going for that kind of cartoonish look. So we're going to put this other yellow over the cadmium yellow. And the reason I put the cadmium yellow on is to give this yellow, since it's a water base, a little bit more of a surface to grip to. And this is not going to be the final coat either. There will be one more coat, but that's going to be a little bit different shade completely. And I'm hoping that that will provide the effect that I want to go for. And again, that toothpick just does not want to hold this as tight as I would like. Get a good coat of this all over everything. We close up our paint and clean the brush out. Set the brush off to the side, and once again, I'm going to let this dry for a while, and I'll be back with the final color, and I hope that works out okay. So that's upcoming next, so enjoy part 3. So I've given the initial water-based yellow coat a little time to dry, and now I'm going to add the neon yellow. And I'm simply going to paint over the other yellow. And this will probably take 2 coats. So this video will only show the 1 coat that I put on. Make sure I get enough up here at the front end. And since this is a water base, it kind of flows in nicely enough. And we get down to that part where it doesn't like to be held with the toothpick. And this is the neon yellow. And I got these from this set of paints from a place called Ollie's. It's a thrift store. It's kind of like a Big Lots. If you got a Big Lots in your area, I think I picked up was a set of 12 different colored paints for about $2, and that should last a doggone long time actually, because I don't use much of it at a time. Like in this case, I barely touched the yellow paint. And there we have the first coat of the neon color. And clean the brush out. And definitely put the cap back on the paint, because these are not separate containers. It's all in one solid holder, which is kind of nice, but sometimes it makes it a little bit of a pain in the butt. So I'll give that plenty of time to dry. I'll put another coat on and give that time to dry, and then I'll shoot some pictures of just this, and then we'll get into the next part of it, which will be adding the chrome pieces. So stay tuned to that. This is part 3. Part 4 will be the final assembly and the addition of the chrome pieces. So that's coming next. Welcome to the final video, parts 1 and 2 of the Boss Fink model build. And what I'll be doing in this video is I'm going to be adding the chrome pieces. And I'm not going to bore you with a step-by-step as to how these are going to go on. So you'll see the end product in the photos that I'll post in the slideshow format. So let's get started. Well, now that that part's complete, I'll take some photos of this, and I hope you noticed that during this particular step, I was using the Gorilla Glue, and that was done to help hold this in place just a little bit better, and it gave me a chance to actually line things up without holding it for a long period of time and allowing this glue to a little more time to set up. So I'll get some shots of this, and it'll be following in a slideshow format. And I hope you've enjoyed steps 1 and 2. And I think that the next step is going to be some of the framework and some of the tire work. So I appreciate you guys watching. Stay tuned for more. And there'll be more on this build coming up soon.